I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, good evening, everybody. I want to thank you all for taking time out from your busy schedules to be here. But I think after we go through this evening, you'll find that it was well worth it. I think for once we have some very good news to share with you. My name is Jerry Lascotti, and I'm the Vice President or the President of Vice, I can't remember which, Montana Land and Water Alliance. First, let me introduce you to our team. We have Dr. Kate Vanmore, who's Chair of the Montana Land and Water Alliance. Terry Bax from Concerned Citizens. Boone Cole. Where's Boone? Right here. Boone Cole, who's chair and a commissioner in the Mission Irrigation District. Ray Swenson is in the back there. I see him. He's chair of the Mission Irrigation District and also a commissioner. I think Bruce White is back there also. Bruce White's commissioner over from Camas. And then our legislative team here this evening, headed up by Dr. Al Olszewski, Keith Regier, Kerry White, Mark Nolan, and Carl Glim. I want you to notice that these guys are representatives that are not from the Mission Valley. How about that? Where are our guys throughout this fight? They're on the other side.
Gail's here.
A hand for these guys. They've stood with us since 2013. Two sessions of the legislature. I'd like to recap the last 6 months of what we've been doing. You know, after 2015, when we had the loss in the legislature and the passage of 262, and then about a year later, the Supreme Court ruled that our complaint about the unconstitutionality of the passage of the compact, they ruled against us. The Land and Water Alliance started to figure out, well, what's our go-to strategy now? And our strategy was litigation, and so we started to prepare for that. We were looking at legal foundations and people like that would be able to support a complaint on the various unconstitutional issues that are in SB 262. In about May of this year, a fellow by the name of Scott Biggs called us up and he said, I'd like to talk to you about finding out what your plan is to go to stop SB 262, the CSKT compact. And he said, have you ever considered an alternate compact? And we said, yeah, we considered that. And during the negotiations and the legislative sessions, and it couldn't get any traction. He says, well, it should be able to get traction now because the compact is passed and everybody knows how bad it is. But what's the alternative to it? And we got to thinking, we had a board meeting, we discussed it, and we said, you know, litigation's way off. So why don't we see if there's something we can do? And in a matter of 2 weeks, we put this proposed compact together and put a comparison chart between this compact and the old compact together, plus Tester's bill, which was then, as you may know, was added in 2016. And we gave that to one of our legislators that was going to Washington, D.C. And I'm not going to preempt what happened, but the net result is that led to a meeting between Jason Thielman, chief of staff for our senator, meeting with the commissioners and starting a dialogue about a possible alternative. That meeting then led to another meeting in Bozeman on the same subject, and our legislative team attended that meeting, and they'll talk about that later on. the results so far were so positive that we began to have small meetings, and many of you were in those small meetings where we got together with about 10 people and explained to them the new compact and the support we were starting to feel like we were getting from Washington. So we went on with that, and the net result is this meeting tonight to get your support for this compact. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to turn this over to Dr. Al, and he's going to tell you a little bit about the legislative team and what they're doing.
Thanks, Jerry. Cool, there we go. Well, it's nice to be back in Leon Hall. It's nice to be back here amongst friends.
Yep.
So, in a heartbeat, let's go back to 2015. I was a freshman legislator in the House. Along with my colleagues right here, we were all in the House, in fact, at that time. And what had happened is, as you know, the CSKT Water Compact was brought to us. It was not brought to us, it was railroaded through us, right? Because every time we attempted to have open debate about it and have dialogue, like as is stated in the Montana Constitution, what we do as members of the legislative branch, we were denied. Every time we brought an amendment to the compact, we were shut down, right? And even when it was done, because it came all the way through at the final vote in the House, it only passed with a simple majority. And whenever you give immunity to the state or its agents, you have to have a supermajority. And I will tell you, immediately after that vote, and they were saying that they won, and the speaker says, no, you didn't win. We went into the back room of the speaker's office, sat there with the Attorney General and his deputy, only to be told, nope, it's perfectly legal, it only needs a simple majority. All that stuff about immunity is just boilerplate language, right? Don't worry about it. All the compacts have it. It's just boilerplate language. As I pointed out to the Attorney General at that time was, wait a minute, every other compact in Montana passed with supermajorities. So it's not boilerplate language. It met the constitutional merits and the votes to give that kind of immunity to the state and its agents for all the other compacts. This one didn't, right? So what happened? We had a lower court judge said that absolutely right, it's unconstitutional. But when it went to the Montana Supreme Court, which does lean left, they said, don't worry about it, right? Because they're not going to look at the original intent. I guess they believe that the Montana Constitution is a living document, right? It's a living document. So that's where we're at. So what happened? I've been around, as you know, as running for a statewide election. I took this as one of our issues, and we pounded it all the way over in Dawson County, Macomb County, Yellowstone County, gotten people going, holy criminies, what do you mean off reservation rights, right? We started to bring that issue up, and they started to get concerned about it. So we were able to get some buzz going on that. Well, again, you can only say no for so much. It's nice to be able to say, we have something else. We believe in, it's not just no, but yes, and this new alternative. So I will believe that for us, it was a huge deal for us to be able to hear in August that there was a small group of members from here, from Land and Water Alliance and irrigators, who said, you know what? We've come up with a better alternative for the compact. And we're petitioning you as our representatives of the state to take it to the Congress. So that's how we got involved as a group. Yeah, we did hear that, yeah, you have legislators that are in this area that are not here tonight. Okay. There's a lot of there's a lot of pressure and a lot of issues that go on, a lot of conflict in this issue. And I'm very proud of every one of you for being here and being brave enough to come here tonight.
Amen.
But there's an old saying that I've got from my family, and it's, if you're a rancher or a farmer, friends don't let their friends shoot their own dogs, right? So we're here to help out our own your legislators here, because they're our colleagues. And you know what? We're far enough away from the conflict that we can objectively, in a non-biased manner, take your petition and take it forward. So with this, but as we were hearing about this, we did have one of our representatives here on the team. He said, wow, you know what? I'm going to see what interest we can get up in DC. So I'd like Kerry White to just kind of give you a rundown on what when he headed out, he was able to talk to some of our federal representatives. So, Kerry.
Thanks for having me. I drove about 4 hours to get up here because this is, to me, a very important issue. I'm a senior water right holder in the Klein-Schmidt Canal Company, 1898 water, first canal that comes out of the Gallatin. The tribes filed claims on my water in the Gallatin, all the way to Billings. So I just want you to know I know what water is. We still run the original ranch for 150 years. My great-grandfather came here in 1864, cow-calf operation, black cows. They put on weight pretty good. So anyway, serving my third term in the legislature and the House, last two sessions I chaired the Natural Resource Committee. This compact came in front of Judiciary, and I think they had about a 9-hour hearing. So, but Dr. Al is right. There was no opportunity to make any amendments. There was amendments brought on the floor. There's a couple of things in the compact that Senator Tester introduced back in DC. One, of course, it's not constitutional because it violates our Constitution, but there's something in there that the tribes need to know. It says that all that water shall be given to the federal government. And the next sentence it says, the federal government may give it to the tribes. In other words, there's a big difference between shall and may. When I saw that wording in there, I was a definite no on this because I think the people and the tribes deserve the water, and it shouldn't be given to the federal government that the government may give it back to them. This is Montana's water. It's not only the reservation water and the tribal water, but it's my water to use, beneficial use under state jurisdiction and adjudication. So they came with an idea on an alternate compact, and I was invited back to Washington, D.C. in June to testify in front of Greg Gianforte's subcommittee on, he's the head of the environment, energy, public lands. Actually, Trey Gowdy appointed him the chairman of a subcommittee. First time a freshman has been appointed to a chair of a subcommittee. I was invited back to testify with the Baker County Commissioner, a lady out of California, myself, and then an ex-Forest Service employee, and it was on the road closures that we've experienced in Montana by the Forest Service and BLM. I introduced that legislation. We've lost 22,000 miles of roads by the Forest Service since 1995. So I talked to the board and told them I'd be willing to take that compact back there. So I met with Senator Daines, I met with Representative Gianforte, talked to him after the subcommittee meeting. Both of those folks are from the Gallatin Valley. I'm friends with both of them. I've known them all for a long time. Greg Gianforte, as you know, probably owned Right Now Technologies, sold that to Oracle. Steve Daines worked for him. I hunt and fish with them, good friends of mine, so I talked to them. But I showed them that, and they are so excited. They have seen this state being torn apart from one end to the other over this compact. It has literally put neighbor against neighbor, friend against friend, and it's from one end of the state to the other. And they are looking for a solution. And they're looking to us, really looking to you, and hopefully bring this forward. After I met with the Greg and Steve, I had an opportunity to go meet with the Undersecretary of Interior And I got a picture of me sitting at Zinke's desk, because Zinke was out of town, so I got a picture, because I know Ryan too. He was in the legislature before I got there, but he's a good friend of mine too. And so I texted him a picture of me sitting in his desk while he was out here in Montana, actually, when I was in his desk back in Washington, D.C. It's kind of funny. But I talked to his undersecretary and I told him the same thing. I presented the comparison between the old compact and the new compact. And the other thing that I mentioned to him is I said, this compact passed the legislature, I think wrongfully so, as Al said. And the courts ruled against us on the immunity and the vote. But I said, this compact has not passed Congress. Tester introduces compact, and I think the price tag on it, $2.4 billion, I think. That's crazy. That's a crazy amount. That's amazing. But that compact it's not going anywhere. Hasn't gone anywhere. And a big part of that is the price tag. But I've been hearing rumors that there's certain things that might be being put into place that the compact passed, in other words, implemented. And so I did ask the Undersecretary of Interior to, keep an eye on the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, and just make sure that this compact isn't implemented before we get something that's better coming forward. And he assured me of that they would keep an eye on that. And so we have the Department of Interior, Senator Daines, Representative Jan Forte, and he's also chairman of a subcommittee in the House. And I think Greg will get elected. He's running against Kathleen Williams. So I think he'll be back in there. And so I just want to assure you that this new compact, as I've looked at it, is awesome. And I hope you take the time to look at it, because it protects the tribes, it protects the irrigators, it gives adjudication, keeps it with the state of Montana and follows our Constitution. There's a lot of things that this compact does that was faulty with the other one. So I'll be around for questions, and I'll turn it back over to...
I'm going to jump in here.
Go for it.
So, yeah, thank you, Kerry. So, the chairman of the districts, Ray Swenson, had been doing a very good job keeping in contact with the staff people for our congressional delegation. We've been meeting with Ron Catlett, Daines' staff guy out of Kalispell. We had a meeting with one of Gian Forte's staff guys. And like I said, Ray was keeping in very close contact with them. Well, as kind of a surprise, and we didn't know it at the time, but as a result of Representative White's meeting with Senator Daines back in Washington, D.C., we got, and showing them the comparison chart for the People's Compact, Ray, I should say, got a call from Jason Thielman, who is Senator Daines' chief of staff, who wanted to meet with us here. So that was a golden opportunity. Ray and Bruce White, representing from Flathead, Camas Division, and myself met with Jason Thielman up in Ronan. And his first question was, well, a little background. At the time, we didn't know that the Daines' office was aware of the potential of an alternative compact. He didn't know that we were aware of it, because he didn't know where this had really come from. But we had met just the night before, I think it was, to get us all up to speed on that, knowing that we had, I believe, the solution to the problem. You know, the old compact is literally, we've had lawyers tell us, there's something that can be litigated on every page. You know, and this is really a key concept I want to throw out here. It's kind of out of sync, but there's no salvaging the old compact. There's no amending the old compact. There's no merging the compacts. It had to be completely thrown out. This is a completely new creation that treats everyone fairly, stays within existing law, and we knew we had a winner. Okay, well, the first thing Jason Thielman asked, he said, and Ray, feel free to jump in if I'm missing anything here, but or Bruce, but he said, what do irrigators want? He said, we perceive that no one wants to go to water court. And we're like, you know, if the option is the CSKT compact, we'll take water court. That doesn't bother us. But as we have said all along, those of us that have been opposing the CSKT compact, ever since we came out in public opposition through the joint board and all of these meetings and everything, we've said we prefer a compact, but not that one. So we meet with Jason. He wants to know what our solution is. Or he said, Senator Daines realizes, as Representative White said, that this is the most divisive piece of legislation ever to come out of Montana. It's going to divide Montanans for generations, and he will not do that to Montana. He wants a solution.
Amen.
Jason Thielman said, the senator wants a solution. Well, we're thinking at the time, hey, we have the solution. We didn't know they were aware of it at that time. But a couple days later, then when all this came out, I called Jason again privately and said, hey, so are you aware of this alternative compact? And he said, we've heard something about it, but I didn't know how much to mention at the meeting. It was kind of funny there, but the point is that Jason Thielman, representing Daines' office, is very excited that this is a workable solution, and we're hoping it's going to go forward. At this point, I'll turn it back over to Dr. Al.
Thanks, Boone. So I guess what you're seeing is you're getting a timeline. We're giving you the story, so you're hearing it. So by the end of this evening, you're going to be up to date and up to speed with everything that we've all been doing. Okay, so how does this work? I mean, we already have a compact. It went through the state of Montana. We didn't like the way it was done, but we have a compact and it's been approved by the state, right? So it's got the mark and the stamp of the state. Well, it turns out that there's 3 people in the compact that have to sign it: the state, federal government, and the tribe. Well, guess what? As we're learning this and we're talking about it, if another compact, another version, like, because Tester's compact's not the same one, it's very, very simple. It's got some new things in it, right? They changed some things. If that one was to pass, it would not have to come back to the state. What they would say is, well, the state passed a compact, we passed a compact, now it goes to the tribe. But they can, and the federal government can change it. But guess what happens if the tribe says, well, we don't like what you changed? If they don't sign it, because they're in trust with the federal government on their behalf can sign it for them. How about that? Interesting? So here is the kicker on this, and this is why you should be very interested, and this is what makes it work, is that John Tester has a compact up there, and it's not going anywhere. But if that one was to be voted on and signed, even if it was 100% different than what we passed here in the state, that's the one we get. That's the one the state gets, that's the one the tribe gets. So if we come up with a different compact, and it's supported and sponsored by one of our federal legislators, and it gets through Congress, that's the new compact. It doesn't come back to the state. The governor, we don't have that battle at the state anymore. The battle occurs up at the federal government. That's why this is really important. And that's why you've been getting pressured to support this compact, because otherwise we're going to go do a water call. Because they know the longer it sits there and that's not doing anything, it's dying, right? So here's the deal. Here's why it's your compact. And as you're learning the details, and if you support it, this is the important thing, because it's not us, it's not our compact. We're here merely as a mechanism to support you. And what we're doing is we're a delegation to support you to take your petition, which you can do under the First Amendment. You get to petition for redress with your government. And you can do that directly. And we're part of that. We're going to be your mechanism, your vehicle of carrying your redress, your petition for redress to the federal government to deal with this issue. So it's constitutional. So as long as what I just told you, that the federal government gets the final say regardless in these compacts, that's where the battle occurs. It's a new game. It's an absolute new game. All right? It's almost like they said, all that stuff we did in the States, okay, it's passed. Oh, we have to replay the game? Oh, that's too bad. Well, that's what we're doing, right? So I like some people that, it's Terry, is this your turn? It's Terry's turn. Terry knows everything.
Thank you. Kate and I are going to spend some time talking about the components of what we call the People's Compact. When we set out to do this, we had some specific goals in mind that were very important to us. Having been through the process, we believe that the state failed us, and we wanted to make sure that we were putting forth something that addressed all of the concerns and issues that people expressed over the years during the public hearing process. So our goals were to stay within the confines of federal reserved water rights law and the Constitution. We wanted to provide a final resolution of the federal reserved water rights for the Flathead Reservation. We wanted to offer the framework of a grassroots solution that benefits people, not governments. If you look at the old compact, that sure benefited the state, the tribal, and the federal governments, but not the people. We want to protect the water rights of all citizens, including individual tribal members, and the people in eastern Montana who have had claims filed over there with the 10,000 claims that the tribe filed. And we wanted to mend fences and to heal our community. It's horrible what they've done to the state, and we're still being threatened about these with these 10,000 claims that were filed by the United States and the tribes, and it really has been divisive. And our goal was to try to find a pathway forward for everyone so that we had a better future here. We've got a couple of different components of this, and I'm going to ask Dr. Kate to talk about the quantification aspect of the compact.
That's all. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. The purpose of doing a compact was to quantify the amount of water that the tribes were going to get.
Put it right there, you go.
Okay. Whoops.
Start over.
Good.
All right. The purpose of quantifying these compacts was to quantify the federal reserve rights of the tribes. To this date, Montana has not told you how much there is here, how much they gave to the tribes, but it's significant. So in keeping with what Terry said, in keeping with the law, what we did was basically we quantified the water rights of the tribes. Now, quantification of a federal reserved right is based on the purposes of the reservation. And the purposes are derived from the Treaty of Hellgate. So there are 3 or 4 purposes. One is on reservation fisheries, another is agriculture and industry, and another is individual homelands, individual homesteads for individual Indians who want them. So there is also industry and so forth. So basically what we did was identify the amount of water associated with each of those purposes, and our number is 508,000 acre feet. That's what it is. It's not 28 million, it's not 50 million, it's 508,000 acre feet. There are no off-reservation water rights in this new compact. There is no legal basis for those. We tried to tell Montana this through legal research and so forth. So there are absolutely no off-reservation water rights. There's no co-ownership or co-management of water rights off the reservation. The People's Compact includes provision for the tribes and the United States to legally withdraw all of their claims, pull them out of the court proceedings, pull them out of this thing as well. Let me see. The conflicting irrigation project claims are also eliminated, and claims for groundwater, aquifer water, are also eliminated. Okay, Hungry Horse Reservoir. is a state reservoir. The water remains for the state of Montana to use. We saw it as an off-reservation water right. As we said, there's no legal basis for that, so we're not going there. If the tribes want access to Hungry Horse, they can apply for it like everybody else does. So it remains a state reservoir. Let me see. I couldn't read this. Anyway, except for the clearly defined volume of water from Kerr Dam Reservoir, all Flathead Lake water remains a state water resource as well. And it also leaves Montana water basins open for future development. So in sum, we quantified the water right, we got rid of the off-reservation water rights. The tribe's water right of 508,000 acre feet is right here on the reservation. Part of it is Flathead Lake, about the upper 1 foot, and the other is groundwater. That's it. They're not taking anybody's water. And the in-stream flows, excuse me. The other thing, you all know about the in-stream flows in the irrigation project. Those were secured in 1985. That's part of the Federal Reserve water right, 270,000 acre feet. So of that 508,000, half of it, more than half of it is already being used. The last thing that well, I'll wait for that. So let's see what's next.
Okay, I'm an accountant, so I get to talk about the money, the settlement portion of this. First, I want to say that over the past several years, we've done a significant amount of research. Our goal was to provide factual information to the public about the bad compact, thinking that surely once those facts were revealed, people wouldn't vote for it, the legislature wouldn't go for it, and of course you know where we are now. But part of that research also included the hiring of researchers in Washington, D.C., to go through documents in the National Archives concerning the settlements for the CSKT. We've been hearing over the years that the tribe has been paid for land and water over and over again, and we didn't know what the truth was of that, so we went ahead and we looked. And we did find, as we went through the research, that there was docket number 50233, which was filed in the U.S. Court of Claims, and all of the items on there were settled, and the tribe got monetary settlements for each of the items on there. I think there was one related to net power revenue, or low-cost block of power that was dismissed. But there was only one claim that was left outstanding. It was dismissed without prejudice in the 1960s. And so that's a claim, a grievance of the tribe that was filed in the 1950s that has never been resolved, and it's related to the waters of the irrigation project. Basically what they said is that by approving the irrigation project and building it, the United States appropriated large amounts of water, tribal water, and allowed the settlers to use that water, and the tribe had never been compensated for the use of that water. So the People's Compact wants to resolve that grievance. We believe that it's really important, if we want finality with this compact, we need to resolve this grievance and do what's right by the tribal members. In the Court of Claims settlements that they did, those damages, any damages for lands that they were paid for or anything else, those damages were split. 85% went to tribal members as a per capita payment, and 15% of the money went to the tribal government for tribal programs. So we are proposing that almost half of the settlement funds that we've got in our settlement will be going to these damages related to the irrigation project, and most of that will be distributed to individual tribal members. We also include in there funds for the development of the federal reserved water rights of the tribe. The water that we're giving them, they will need to develop that so that they can use it, and so there is an expense in there. In the settlement for that, as well as irrigation project rehabilitation. The total settlement that we're talking about is less than 1/3 of the John Tester $2.3 billion. We're looking in the neighborhood of about $775 million. It sounds significant, but when you remember, a big chunk of that is to settle the damages, and we have $200 million in there for the rehab of the irrigation project. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the irrigation protection.
Yes, and admin as well.
Okay, and so that's the settlement portion of this. Now, we also built in some protections for irrigators. I know I'm looking out here and I see a lot of you are irrigators, so I just want to quickly give an overview of protections that we have built into the People's Compact for the irrigation project. First, Flathead Project irrigators will receive their historic use and duty of water. All irrigators on the project. To enhance project efficiency, the project will be rehabilitated. That's for the benefit of fisheries as well as irrigation on the project. Construction liens on irrigator lands will be released. The low-cost block of power and net power revenues will remain permanent features of the irrigation project. As you know, some of that's been split off. We're proposing that all be reintegrated as part of the project as congressional intent. We're just basically following what congressional intent was. It requires the transfer of project operations and rehab oversight to the Bureau of Reclamation. This is really important because the BIA has basically politicized the management of the project, and we believe that the only way that we can get the project managed in an unbiased way would be to turn it over to the Bureau of Reclamation. And then, again, the interim in-stream flow volumes that were awarded to the tribe in 1985 are included in the People's Compact. And the last item that we have in there, I think that will be interesting to everybody, is we get rid of the UMB, that terrible board that was going to administer everybody's water here on the reservation. It's gone, and we're going to go with the dual system of management, just like the state of Montana did and all the other tribal compacts.
Great.
Okay, so who do we go to next?
So what I'm going to do is actually, there's a number of different things that all of us felt were important. So I'm just going to pass it down and just give everybody on this legislative team, a minute or two to just really talk about one of the issues that were important to them. Personally for me, I will tell you that I was never more frustrated than at the end of the 2015 legislature when literally everything that we tried to do for limited government was defeated, right? There was a dark money bill that only favored our current governor. There was Medicaid expansion. There was a CSKT compact, and I could go on and on and on. And what we saw is that there were deals made before the legislature even started, right? And we could go, but that's behind us now. What I love about this is the fact that, unlike the CSKT tribal compact that set up and had definitions of words that we don't have definitions for. It didn't finish, didn't answer this grievance that Terry talked about. It didn't quantify the water like it legally was asked by the courts to quantify the water. It was set up so that lawyers, whether they're tribal or non-tribal lawyers, were going to make millions of dollars for the next 50, 60, 70 years. This tribal compact is finite. It defines things. It stays within legal precedent all the way from the Hellgate Treaty, all the way through every judicial decision making that was accomplished, which is nice because what I want to see is if once we get the People's Compact through and approved, then what we can say is from whatever date that is, I would like it to be 2020 or 2019, but from that day all the way into the past, any grievance between the tribe and the state and the government is done. Yeah. We have answered that. If there's some other grievance between the irrigators and the tribe, or the tribe and the irrigators, or the tribe and the state, those are new. And those can then be dealt into the future, but we don't go back in the past. We're done going back in the past. For me, that's really important. So here, I'm going to pass it through here and let some of the other legislators tell you what they like about it.
Thank you, Dr. Olszewski. Keith Regier. Terry went over a lot of the main points of the new compact, and one of them that I'd like to talk about is who owns the water and controls that. We hear in our Constitution, you're reading the Constitution, the water's for the people. Yet this compact comes out and it's not that way. Terry talked about the Bureau of Reclamation administering the water on the reservation, and that's great instead of the BIA. BIA, they're Indian Affairs, but Bureau of Reclamation, it makes a lot of sense that they would be dealing with our resources. So that's my little 2 cents on that. Next, Mark Nolan.
Well, we've heard a number of things. One of the things that I like to try and do as a legislator is to follow the law. But having our government do that, I mean, is that a nuance or new idea? I don't know. So anyway, with this the People's Compact, it will withdraw all off-reservation claims. Protect the water rights of all citizens. Now, I'm a citizen in the Flathead, and when this came out and said that they have a potential to tap into my water or restrict my water, do anything with my water, I don't have a lot of land, but we had a few cows. I go, well, that's a red flag and that's a problem. I bought my land thinking I have certain rights, and now guess what? Now I'm not down here, I don't irrigate, I irrigate up there. So I had a small issue with that. What does this compact do? Oh my gosh. When you get the time and you dive into it, you guys are going to be real happy. So it mends fences, as we've heard. We are divided. It hurts. We get people conflict, and we're conflicted too when our people, even on our same side of the aisle, and some of them are Republicans. There was a laugh. They are our friends, and we're divided. What is that saying? A house divided shall fall. We don't want to do that. We need to fix. And this mends fences with our friends and neighbors. Thank you. It'll withdraw off all reservation claims in the CSKT compact, including those 10,000 claims. We as legislators try to do things to promote, gotta get this closer so I can see, to promote a way to enjoy living in the great state of Montana. To live here, we need water appropriated fairly for its citizens. When my grandfather, Zen Allred, homesteaded in Charlotte, he was allocated water to irrigate his farmland. And as he has always said, we must treat each other fairly. I want to be treated fairly regarding my water rights, and this People's Compact does that. We must be fair to all citizens, all of our citizens. The CSKT Water Compact doesn't treat off-reservation water rights fairly. But as we heard, we're leaving that behind now, so we don't need to talk about that anymore. It's done, from our standpoint, right? Mm-hmm. We're leaving it behind, and with the People's Compact, we are all being treated fairly. Now, I don't want to sit around and tell my grandkids how great Montana and America once was. Do you? We never give up. We rise to every challenge, we fight, and we win. We are Montanans, and we are Americans. Montanans, let us tonight go forth and reject the politics of division, the CSKT Water Compact, and be renewed with the People's Compact. We want a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. But we must fight for the cause of our country. We must fight for the cause of liberty. And we must fight for the cause of our water rights. Our nation is exceptional because it was built on the 5 most wonderful and beautiful words in the English language. I want to be free. President Ronald Reagan used to say that they're tired of being told that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better for us than we can plan them for ourselves. Tonight, we are presented a better way forth with the People's Compact.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here tonight. My name is Carl Glim. I'm from the Flathead, too. And I'm going to just touch on something. You're probably hearing a lot of the same things over and over. And I don't know if you guys have heard that, but you have to hear something or read it. You have to touch it like 7 times before you really remember it. And so that's some of the reason why we're repeating things. So if we repeat it 3 times and you read it once, you only have like 3 more times more to hear it from here on out, and then you'll remember. So we're trying to hit some of the high points of this deal. And I think it's really important because the water compact that we had before was so different from anything that has been done before. It would have been precedent setting. And that really, to me, was the biggest thing, was that it was going to set precedent for this off-reservation water rights. And if you look at the map of where the claims got filed, it was 2/3 of the state of Montana. Those off-reservation claims went, I mean, past Havre, for goodness sakes. Nobody else has that. Nobody else in the nation has that. This thing here was gonna set precedent across the nation, and that's to me was a very dangerous thing. But I want to this new compact is it's a compromise. It really is. It takes care of everybody. It looks at all the issues fairly. You know, we heard that they actually looked at what is the compact supposed to do. It's supposed to quantify the number. They did that. They went back, they looked historically how that's supposed to be done, and they did that. They came up with a rationale of how they came up with the numbers, and that's what I'm supposed to talk to you about, is the numbers, because I'm a numbers guy. I sit on appropriations in the legislature, and I'm a money guy. Really, the money's still too much for me. But it's a compromise, so I'm willing to say that it's good, because it gets us back in line with some of the other compacts that we've done. And it's not, like they also pointed out, it's 1/3 the price of the compact that Senator Tester introduced back in Washington, D.C. 1/3. That this is a compromise that can work. This thing can grow legs. We need you guys to get behind it, voice your support, and maybe we can get this thing changed before it's too late. I appreciate your time. Thanks for coming out.
Before I start, I would like to recognize Randy Brodell is here. He is a current House of Representative and candidate for Flathead County Commissioner. He's very interested. We'll see. I just have some thoughts that I want to share with you about the compact. The CSKT compact that passed in 2015 is Montana's Iran deal.
Yeah.
Do you remember that Iran deal?
Yeah.
President Obama negotiated $1.5 billion given to the Iran. A small group of people benefited a lot at the expense of others. Then I had to think, no, Tester's was $2.3 billion. This is worse than the Iran deal. So it's pretty bad. Dr. Olszewski gave you a lot of the history that went on in that 2015 session. One thing he didn't bring out, there was a lot of intimidation through fear. Legislators from the east side of the mountains were told, you're going to get litigated, your water rights are going to get litigated, you're going to lose it all. And they said, okay, we're going to vote for the compact, and it'll be the West's problem, and they'll leave us alone. Didn't turn out that way. Didn't turn out that way at all. And it barely passed. Barely passed. So again, elections have consequences. I mean, we need to be out there in a few weeks and elect the right people, the people that uphold the Constitution and our freedoms. Legislative work is done. I mean, we had our chance at it. The Compact Commission Reserve Water Right Compact Commission was started a long time ago by the legislature to deal with the federal government for water rights for the Indian tribes as well as Forest Service and other government agencies. I just have to sit back and think, how much time and money did we spend on that Compact Commission? Must have been a lot of money. And what did we get out of the end? Montana's Iran deal. I think this is a perfect time to submit a new compact, the People's Compact. I hope you can support that compact and help us as we deal with Washington on that. Your support is critical. There will be brochures, I think, handed out tonight that explain all of it. It's simple. It's not going to be 1,500 pages like the compact was that passed through the legislature. Thank you.
Hi there. I just wanted, since we're on the irrigation project and an irrigation commissioner, I just want to mention one thing regarding the irrigation projects, or the districts, I should say, water rights filings. Okay, we had somebody ask, well, okay, how does this compact deal with the irrigation project water rights that were filed by the districts? It doesn't, and it shouldn't. Okay, it's a reserved water rights compact, like the state should have done. The district, irrigation district water rights that were timely filed with the water court will go through the adjudication like normal. That's our historical use, because somebody mentioned we get historical use. That is our historical use, what we filed for. Okay? Doesn't touch those. Any other individual claims, or the water court will, secretarial rights, all that, the water court will do its constitutional duty. Okay? So, another note is that a lot of you have heard about Walton rights, okay? A lot of you have Walton rights on allotted lands. Those Walton rights are included in the filings that the districts made, okay? So those are protected. Unlike what happened to the Crow allottees with their compact, they basically lost their Walton rights, right? People's Compact protects those Walton rights. Also, because it allows the normal adjudication process to go through. It does, however, so Tim Moore speak to this, he knows it very well, speaks to it often, but the irrigation districts filed, and then BIA filed, the United States filed, all on top of those for the same water, okay? So this compact requires them to remove those competing claims, because they have no business filing those claims. Those are the irrigation project water rights. Okay, so just for irrigators out there, I just wanted to mention that, how those claims are dealt with.
I just wanted to point out that we have a few things for you. First, I wanted to tell you that we've written the legislation and also the technical paper behind it. And the legislation is 17 pages. It's not 1,500. And the technical paper is 13. We know it's going to be longer, but just so you know, those are written under legal review. We are going to have a few questions, but also the ask, if you will. We have going to have some things on the back table for you tonight. First, you've seen us using a piece of paper, which basically is the key elements of the CSKT, of the People's Compact. It's a 2-page sheet here, and it'll provide you all the details you know. We're going to ask you in a little bit to contact Congress. Here's a sheet here for you as well. Dr. Al mentioned a petition, First Amendment petition, or a petition for redress. The redress is the People's Compact. There's going to be a petition on the back, in the back there for you to sign if you want to. This is all going to be the package that goes to our legislators and up to Congress. Oh, one more thing. And this. We're real happy about this. You don't need the other papers, if you will, that we have, because it's all here. But this really will show you there's a page for everybody here, especially for the tribal members, who I think are really going to benefit not only with the per capita, but for the protection of their individual water rights. So those are all going to be back there for you.
Do you need any donations?
Will, you want to speak? Do you want me to? Okay. Gee whiz, what a timely question. Thank you. I was going to wait more till the end, but okay, we have printed 30,000.
$20, will you?
Yeah, we good to have a shill in the audience. We've printed 30,000 of these that we've been giving out locally to groups we've been meeting with, having small groups here on the project, Thompson Falls, Deer Lodge, Great Falls, whatnot. The buzz has been incredibly positive. We've ordered our second printing of 30,000 of these. We don't have, none of us, all of us, legislators included, don't have the resources to mount the PR campaign that other groups do, let's say, okay? There's one way that this will get the attention at the federal level, and that's if it's popular. Okay, our job is to make this popular. Statewide, and it will be statewide, because again, it protects eastern Montana. A lot of those legislators we've been hearing are regretting supporting the compact, because that was kind of the ultimate bait and switch, right? Support the compact and we won't file those 10,000 claims until they pass the compact and the 10,000 claims were filed, right? So it's critical that we get this out statewide. We're going to be putting this in inserts in many, many papers. I've contacted Prairie Star, will be a lot of local papers, statewide ag interest. That's the one thing that we do need donations for. Thank you for bringing that up. Is if anyone is willing, we'll get a hat or something here somewhere, but it's for printing these and for distribution.
There's a donation box.
There is a donation box back there? Okay, great. But yes, thank you for bringing that up, because that's the one thing that we do need donations for.
I'd like to reemphasize the fact that, you know, a small group of us have done all the heavy lifting on this so far. But the real important people are you folks out there. And your individual letters to Senator Daines and Congressman Gianforte and probably Ron Bishop from the Natural Resource Committee and some of these people, a simple letter. I'm an irrigator in the Mission District and I support the People's Compact and I hope you support it too. That's simple. If we could get 2,300 irrigators to write one of those letters to each one of those guys, I'd be willing to bet you that this thing, at the beginning of the next congressional session, that this thing will start moving. You need to help us. We can't do that. We've done all the stuff that we can do, but you need to help us with your letters, and you need to write to the newspapers. I know they screen us out. I mean, I don't get to write letters to the editor anymore because they don't like what I have to say. You know, freedom of the press is kind of a myth anymore. Freedom of expression is too, because you can't express yourself in a public newspaper. But these are the things that you can do to help us. Certainly we need financial assistance, but more than that, we need you people to be involved, to take the time to save your water. You know, we can't do it for you. So please, please consider that and act on it. Don't just say, well, maybe I'll do it. Do it. It has to be done.
And it's our well water too, Jerry, because I don't irrigate, but I have a well, and I would like to be able to do my dishes and take a shower at the same time, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
And they also have I've noticed, like, when on other political parties or we're trying to get something through, they put together a generic, we can't do that, like we in other words, all you
That's not very powerful. Do you know that one letter, handwritten letter, to one congressman counts for like they figure that's 3,000 votes.
Okay.
You know, 5,000, okay, it's even more than that. You know, putting out the environmental people do that. They put out 3 million postcards. I don't think that influences any. It wouldn't influence me, but yes, sir.
It would also help us out a lot of that legislature, hear what I got to say. My resource will be hidden. The person that I've been around quite a little bit for the last 3 years, it's brought up a point. We have 2 to 3 major colleges in the state of Montana. Great scientists coming out of them and everything else. Why is our governor hiring people from Pennsylvania, Carolina, and not our own Montana kids? We know where we start as kids. We learn things from our parents. The people they're hired in government offices over there in Halifax have no acknowledgement of the hardship that we face every day. But that's a good question for you legislatures to start looking at.
I'm going to cut you off there because we're going to talk about the compact.
It also comes back to this water compact. The department that I'm talking about, it also comes back to this water compact. I'm just saying, you guys gotta start even thinking about that. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, I'm going to, Wayne?
Anyway.
I heard you talk about donations and financial a little bit, and we have some legislators here that seem to have a hand in Washington, and you mentioned that the undersecretary that talked to him was Yankee. We received a letter here not too long ago that says if we don't pay a $4.50 per acre increase, they're going to terminate our water deliveries next year. That needs to be looked in. I mean, you can't afford both.
Well, that's all the more reason why this compact has to go forward quickly. I don't think that we can necessarily deal with that here tonight, but.
Well, I think what you need to look at though, is that is a blackmail technique to push the other compact through. So the BIA needs to be looked at.
And you agree. Number one, I think on your issue, is we need a new governor.
Amen.
We need a new governor that looks to our state.
The swamp.
You're high up in your office, okay?
Right.
And I feel for him. It's kind of like our governor. It's simple that we have our lead scientist
Right.
in the state of Montana, so they ask him to take a cut to pay, but yet they rob from this department and put it over in that department. That's legislation.
Well-
Anyway, so the appreciation they give the top scientists we have in the state to protect our water, to my Dolock, man.
We hear you. We hear you loud and clear, and there are many agencies.
But you know what I'm saying, they have
Yeah.
no involvement with you.
No.
I'm just saying, no.
We'll get to more questions here. Let me just finish.
Back to the subject, please.
We are, yes, sir. So here's the thing. I think we heard it up here. Elections have consequences. Haven't we heard that before?
Sure.
This old compact was designed to address the interests of a tribal government and the governor's office, right? It was designed that it would go to the federal government under the president of Hillary Clinton. It was designed of a taking, a redistribution, right? Elections have consequences. It's a new world. It's a different paradigm. And what we need is a different compact that meets that new, the new realities. This compact does it. It's not about governments. It's about people. It's about your compact. It's not about dividing us, because when we're divided, we fail, and only the governments can win. This is about mending us. This is not only mending us and the irrigators and the farmers and the tribal people. I mean, we're trying to mend people. Let's be neighbors and friends. All right? Let's make sure everybody stays around that table at Thanksgiving. So that's important to me. So remember, so this is the People's Compact. We want it to be yours. A handwritten letter by you, not a postcard that's pre-printed and you just check a box. A handwritten letter from you. It only has to be 3 sentences, because that's about all we read.
Yep.
We will read them. If they're short and they're in your handwriting, they're legible, we read them. And to us, in the federal level, they feel if one person will write a handwritten letter, it means there's 5,000 other people that believe the same thing.
Wow.
All right? That's how powerful your handwritten letter of 3 to 4 sentences is. Okay. And emails, we lose them. Those postcards, after you read the first 3 of them, or those form letters, we don't look at the rest of them. but a legible, handwritten letter. They all get read individually. So please, that's what we need from you. That's what we need from you. And here's the thing. Read this. Pray on it. But from now on, you get to say, we have a new compact. It's a positive compact. It's about us people. We're acknowledging that the tribe had a grievance, and we want you to receive your due fair share of that grievance. And you know what? It should go to you, each individual person. And we stand behind you on that. How can they argue with that? And if they bring up this other compact, that's in the past. We have a new government, a new president. You know what? We're moving forward, and we're doing this. This is the compact we want. What I predict is that you're going to see in the next couple months is that we're going to see the people that support the old compact are going to start saying, well, we'll give on this or we'll give on that. No, you say, no, we've moved on. We're moving on to the People's Compact.
Yep.
Now with that, I want you to, you just got to write. You got to act. Read this and decide. It's up to you to decide if this is going to go forward or if we're going to get stuck behind the old compact. So I'm going to give this back to Jerry. Jerry can do the question and answer period, and he points you out. Okay? Yes. Oh.
Just say something.
Yeah. You know, and once again, I acknowledge. You know, we have Mr. Stipe, we have Mr. Decker here. I think that's nice. Rick Jors has been one of our former legislators. I mean, thank you for being here. Thank you. I also want to thank James White here, who's filming this. And I'm going to tell you, if you want to look at one of the most awesome websites on dealing with what's going on with the elections, and if you need information on all the different referendums, excellenceinvoting.org. Excellenceinvoting.org. Okay? And Kerry White, you have traveled the furthest. I'm going to let you finish before you give it to Jerry.
Just think, on this contact sheet, you need to mail those letters, but I wouldn't mail them to the DC office because it'll take anywhere from 2 weeks to a month to get through all of the deadly ricin agent check through the post office when they go to Congress in DC. But pick any one of those state offices for Steve Daines and Greg Janforte, mail a handwritten letter to them. You could mail one to each one of them, of the offices if you want. But they will get it from any one of those offices in the state. If you send it to that DC address, don't expect anything back for at least a month before they even get the letter. So I just want to say that.
Who was the third
Thank you,
guy that
Carrie.
you said? Somebody said 3 people to send it to. Who was the third one?
Zinke?
Bishop.
Oh, Bishop.
Bishop. Okay, that's not
Rob Bishop.
You know, and the other thing that you can do is to talk to people that are compact proponents, and after they find out, show them that newsletter, let them read that, and then ask them why their compact is better than the People's Compact. Ask them that question. Make them think, because it's obvious to any thinker that this compact, our compact, the People's Compact, is a better compact. Okay, let's open it up for some questions, Ed.
Thanks, Jerry. Gary Grandy, an irrigator, and I just want to thank you for presenting all this information. It's been a lot to absorb. My concern is, and I believe in letter writing, as you've indicated, as the doctor indicated, but if I understand, these 5 legislators up here are kind of leading the fight, and does it go right now to the government in Washington, D.C. to move this new People's Compact ahead? If you took a vote here, I'm sure most of the people here agree with what's going on, and there needs to be this new compact. I'm just a person who likes see things move. Let's move it.
Well, believe me, this team of people have been in that mode also. But I'll give it to Kerry and let him. I guess I ought to shut up.
No, that's okay. I appreciate you doing the question and answer. Okay, Government 101. Come January, every bill that was introduced in Congress back in Washington, D.C. is dead. Brand new Congress comes in and seated after January, after this election. It's a brand new House, brand new Senate. If that compact that Senator Tester introduced in 2016 back in DC, if he wants to bring it forward, that one's gone. He's got to reintroduce it. If Tester isn't there, he can't reintroduce anything. That's first thing. Second thing is, if there is an alternative compact, it's going to be introduced in January. Now the other thing is we have 2 more years of Trump before he's up for election, and his appointees that are back there. And the new Congress, the Congress we have right now, we have the House and the Senate. If we lose the House or the Senate back in DC, we could turn into big time gridlock, and there might be nothing that goes through. So I just want to express that I think we're going to see this compact be introduced into Congress after January. Steve Daines is a holdover senator. He'll be there for the next at least 2 years. So we're going to get this compact after January. Get the letters out now to support. And just one other thing, we're legislators, but we're only single little guys. And so we're bringing this forward. We got not a lot of air under our wings as this thing's flying. And that's what you guys are. You're the air under the wings. You're the guys and the gals that are going to make this thing fly like a bird. So.
That's a good analogy, thank you. Another question?
Ross.
Ross?
Somebody back here just took a look at this material and they said, where is the actual compact? You're asking a lot for some signed petition and on the basis of a brochure and information here. When will we see the actual people's compact?
Go ahead and answer that.
Yeah, you better answer that.
Okay.
Kate, I see you got the paperwork.
Here are the 2 papers, the background technical report and the legislation. They're under legal review right now. We have an issue with basically allowing anyone, especially our tribes, to basically start working with this and start working against it. But I would say when these come out, it's probably maybe the end of November, maybe December. But what you have in this, in the newsletter, the newspaper, is everything that's in here. Everything that's in here is in that newsletter. We put in the per capita. We didn't give you the amount of per capita, but tried dividing 300 million by 7,500 people, and you'll see how much that is. And the background on the numbers of the 508,000. So. We just have to get this legally reviewed and find the holes and fix it. And I think at some point then it will be available for everybody. But it is in that, everything is in that notebook.
Well, I just want to know when it's going to be available for everybody and myself to actually read, because as I stated, you're asking these people to donate, sign a petition, and take this information without actually seeing what they're signing and promoting. I mean, you're trying to explain to them what the People's Water Compact is without actually revealing it to them.
We just went through 8 years of that.
So what I'm looking at is to actually see the document, to review it, to make an informed decision for myself.
We will be able to put this on our website that's
I
here.
don't do the website.
Okay. We will find a way to make this available. We will find a way to make this available in November, early December. Thank you.
No, sir, that was actually an excellent point. It's something that I learned as a freshman legislator. Until you read the entire thing, you probably shouldn't put your name on it. I think your point is well taken, and your point, until we get the final legal review on that, we're not going to walk it up with us as a petition to the federal government until that's done. So we're right with you with that. I have read it. I've reviewed it, otherwise I wouldn't be here. It is short and sweet, and it's easy to read. The hard part, it has to be written as a bill. The final, I think right here is the importance of why this meeting was tonight, not the 1st of December, is because a lot of people are wanting to know what's going on. And what really, I think, hopefully you came away from this is that we've told you what has happened since from the very start and how we got involved and where we're at right now. And I agree. If at this point, don't donate, don't sign your name there, if I agree with that part. And if you want to hold to your final judgment until you actually read it, and we will make sure that there's copies. I'm sure one good suggestion is when it's released, go put a copy down at the public library and put a copy here at the post it on the wall here at the Grange. I think that's
Make it available to be able to be sticked up.
Yep, I'm sure we can do that.
I'll bring you a copy,
Donate
Sonny.
your money so they can print it off first.
I'll tell you what, we'll
This is your informational thing. I just want to see what's.
understood. But you make an excellent point, sir.
Sonny, I'll bring you a copy, Sonny.
Yes, sir, in the back.
I got somewhere else. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I got nothing to look at.
I've got 4 things, I'll bring them all at one time and you guys can kind of throw it all together. Number 1, this is the same as the old treaty, what we were all looking for it to be what was in it. And when you guys finally passed it in the Senate, I guess we finally learned what was in it.
We still don't know what's in it, actually.
We never knew what was in that water compact. They changed it right after the day that you guys passed it out of the Senate. Okay, Senate Bill 3013. The reason I'm asking this is the tribal members themselves are going to get some money out of this new People's Compact.
That is correct. If it goes into Congress in the identical form, that would be the idea. Yes, sir, Mr. Fletch.
I was going to ask about Becky as well. I have a little concern. How about James? Where's he?
Well, once again,
And then I'll just make a couple more comments. And one is, since these are bills, they're subject to presidential veto or approval. Thank God for President Trump. And the other comment is, I think it's very good to use the word people, because we're all people on this reservation.
That's right.
That's correct. And again, Senator Daines has said to Representative Kerry, and he said it to me as well, is that he wants something that brings people together and that follows the law, doesn't create new precedents. So he's very interested in it, and he's got the chance to read it. And his request was make sure that it passes legal review, and make sure you get a top-notch legal review, and that's where we're at before, make sure that there's no holes in it, so that we go from there, all right? Randy has a question.
Hi, more of, I guess, just an encouragement for these guys. Thank you, for one thing. The other thing is, whether you're ready to sign this or not tonight, I would encourage you to go home and write your letter tonight and sit it on the shelf until you're ready to mail it, until you're satisfied with what they're talking about is the right thing to do. This is an opportunity to get rid of pork barrel. And in government, you very seldom get to shrink anything. This shrinks pork barrel. We as citizens are the government. It's not the bureaucrats. It's not the elected officials. They're part of it, maybe, but we are the government. All of us sitting in this room, we have a right to drive that ourselves, but we can't drive it if we're silent. So if you could go home tonight, write if it's 3 sentences, if it's 2 paragraphs, what matters is you put your heart into that. If you put it on a piece of paper and you send it to those addresses, those local addresses, they get read and they will listen to you because we are the United States of America's government.
So he says it's a confirmation, same as a judge. I don't know that for certain.
It's not legislation.
So it's not legislation, it's a confirmation of a compact.
So it should be pitched.
But, we'll need to see. But that's a very good question. You're right. There is no,
And it's only
perfect situation right now.
The reason I bring it up, Senator, all of us in this room are for the new People's Compact, I'm sure. The reality of it is, what are we going to do to get it past the Congress? We got, somebody brought it up, the Mark Bakers and the Danny Raybergs and the people being paid $1 million to push this other compact the testers got through. How is this group going to compete? It's like David versus Goliath. I understand David can win, but you got to get the person in LA or the person in New York or the person in Atlanta that is going to agree with you.
Right. Perfect. And I'll tell you quite honestly, one of the things that is in our favor on the CSKT compact is that the Mark Bakers and people like him and outside interests were so greedy that this thing is a loaded pig. And there's no way that they can get it through and get it through Congress at $2.3 billion. Right? That's the truth. And what they've done, because they got so greedy, has actually been working in our favor, especially for those of us that are worried about the constitutional precedents, especially of off-reservation water rights. So we'll work on it. Gene.
You brought up a good point. You said that talk to the attorneys, but I have some documents for you people to give to Congress from the Reclamation Act, okay? The Reclamation Circulars. You get those to Dave, Hester, or all three of them. Take the Bureau of Reclamation projects of their report to the Secretary of Interior. It's about 320 pages. You can pick it off of the internet. We just did it at the county shop, just the county commissioner's office 2 days ago. Get those 3, 4 items, 5 items, and take them to Danes and say, here's your law. We're not going to break the law. We're from Montana. We've got 15 other states, plus they added Texas after they split it up under the Homestead Act. So go after it.
So Gene, I can get those from you?
Yes, and you can get the...
Okay. Just fast tracking, because we're speaking on a monthly basis, and we can work that.
I have them in my little car out here.
That's what I like about you, Gene. You're always carrying. Okay. Anybody else? Miss Terry.
I would just like to add to this gentleman's comments. We kind of think the beauty of the people, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. The beauty of the People's Compact is that when you set it up against the old compact, there's no comparison at all. And it's going to be very difficult for the state of Montana to say, we don't like the People's Compact, we want to give all the water away. We want to give away our jurisdiction, our constitutional duty to administer the water for the peoples of Montana. It's going to be very difficult for them to argue these things. And remember, we're staying within the confines of the law and the Constitution. There's no comparison. We believe that the People's Compact really is a no-brainer, and that once people really understand its details, there's not going to be that's going to be very helpful for us for moving this forward. I understand the David Goliath thing. We've been fighting that for a long time, but we have had success, and we know that when we work together, we can make a difference.
So, thank you. One last question, sir.
One thing's certain, if we don't do something, we can't do anything.
That's right.
So, at least we should get behind it, get excited, study it, and push it forward, because if we don't, then because of all the negatives, we're not going to get it.
That's right.
I would just like to say thank you very much for that comment, because really, we've talked a lot about this. This is our last chance. It's this or the CSKT Compact. They're not going to just do nothing forever, okay? You know, this is really it. I just want to say this is our last chance that we could get something infinitely better than what we've been offered. So I appreciate that comment.
Thank you to our legislators.
Yes.
A lot of them are running their own campaigns right now. They can ill afford to be here, but they realize how important this is. Representative White from Bozeman, we're here. He's got a long trip home, and I have a sheep shed if you need a place to stay here. But, But also, one last thing. There are two people, you know, we've all invested a lot. We have our own lives, but I just want to say thank you to Kate and Terry.
Yes, thank you, Katie!
That worked tirelessly with zero compensation.